Wargamers, I'm Lee and you're watching 360 Wargaming.
Hi guys, so we are going to be recording our first battle report later this evening, and Darrell from LCA has kindly come down to let us borrow his terrain. I figured I'd rope him into an interview while he's down here. So Darrell, firstly, what is your adaptive terrain that we're going to be using tonight?
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me down. It's amazing what KFC can do to get me to do stuff. This is adaptive terrain made by a Lasercut Architect, which is myself. And the whole ethos behind it basically is to be able to use different kits that adapt together to form different battlefields each game you play.
Yeah.
I've always been into battlefields, terrain more than armies. And I've always looked at the White Dwarfs or the rule books when they come out from Games Workshops or even Legion, stuff like that. And the first thing I go to is always looking at the terrains.
Yeah.
And I've always fancied making a nice big terrain set on your battlefield to look like a film set that you can game over, different layers, different points of reference all over, pack it away. Your next battle, something completely different.
Yeah, so a little change from the using the same terrain over and over again. You get to use something. It's use the same terrain, but with something a little bit different.
Yes.
Now, we have played on your terrain here before.
Yes, many times.
We've had plenty of battles over it. So would you want to bring a piece in so we can have a look?
Well, see how adaptive terrain works. Let's say, for example, this is our Wastelands collection. Basically very sort of westerny sci-fi look to it. Now, as well as being adaptive, the terrain hopefully will be immersive as well.
Right.
So you can game through it as well as on it. Most kits come with rooms that will connect together. We'll show that later. But say, for example, this kit here, if you want to turn those into doors, you can put your steps on and there'll be different designs of steps. As you can see, it's magnetized. You can place door frames on. These connect together, hopefully. Slide on. So if you start moving terrain about, everything's locked. There are different designs of doors. So you can go for the look you're wanting, place your roof on. So most people, if you're doing Shatterpoint, 40k, anything like that, will just have terrain on like this. Now the whole point of adaptiveness, you could buy this terrain.
Yep.
And you could buy different designs of buttresses. And what they do, these literally clip onto the sides. Yeah, let's do it this side. To give it a different footprint. It's very hard trying to look at it from afar. But there are different designs of buttresses already. And it just gives your building a completely different look.
Yeah.
Okay. So another thing you can do is, let's take this off, for example. If we bring in, let's bring in a ruin set. I mean, the ruin set actually comes with 4 of these pieces. The terrain doesn't just connect, which we'll show you in a bit, on the door, door sections. It also fits on top. So if you're fighting in a ruined part of a battlefield, you can suddenly turn your hab block into a ruin. So now each kit as well works alongside other kits. So for example, let's bring in, these are like defense walls. So you can make actual trenches first of all, with your buildings behind, but also you take out the doors, take that out, these will connect together as well, and you will find by using different kits this will still slide down, lock that together, and you've suddenly got, so already in the short time we have been filming, just using this kit, I've shown you 3 different, completely different designs.
So the layouts, you can go from one to the next to the next. Why did you separate them then into 3 different ranges? Obviously, I'm aware that you've got your 3 different collections. Fans of yourself and followers of yourself have also seen that. Why did you make that decision rather than it to be one big collection?
Basically, it's so you can get the look of your battlefield that you want. So it's for ease of finding on the web store.
Right.
If you're looking for, say, defensive walls, I mean, these will form into like a big defensive walled city if you want, you know, because you can get reinforced sections to raise everything up. There is also bunkers, so that you can game inside as well. So and even with these bunkers, they will connect together. Oops, that's the wrong one. So if you're looking for, say, the defensive lines, you'll know to go into the defensive lines collection. If you're looking for something more sort of Firefly style, you'll go into the wastelands. Then we also have an isolated outpost, which you can form sort of research stations, hexagonal buildings, stuff like that. And that will, again, will work together. So, I mean, once you've got your terrain basically done, we also have accessories that you can add to it. Radar dish, what moves. We have comm towers on mobile platforms. So the platforms all come with this kit together. We can also add weapon mounts that these will fit on as well, to fit onto your defense walls. But as well as those, we have weapons. So all these sort of stuff that you add to your terrain or accessorize it, funnily enough, is in the accessories department.
So you've got the 3 range and all the kits and all the accessories can be used together. You mentioned that they're not just designed for, you mentioned some other game systems in there. Do you actually play those other game systems as well, and do those game systems inspire the designs that you come up with?
No, right. Do I play? I do a lot of board games in that more than wargaming these days. But I don't. I play 40k. I have played Legion a few times as well. But the main designs just come out of watching films rather than wargaming, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So if I watch a film and, you know, something's happening, I'm more looking at the terrain in the background thinking, oh, I could make that. Oh, that would look good. Rather than what's actually going on. So never ask me the plot of a film because I don't know, but I can tell you.
But you can tell us what buildings,
what the train and buildings and everything was on it and the style they were going for. So no, it's more, as soon as I see something in a photo or a film or anything like that, or even in a book, and I like it, that will, you know, govern what I design and what I make.
So what's the design process behind creating something like this, behind going from an idea to making it adaptive and fit into your adaptive terrain ranges?
The main starting point is designing 3D on the computer.
Yep.
I will literally first try and design the look that I'm after. So I'll go for the look and everything like that. Especially if I'm doing something completely new, like for example, this radar dish. I will then try and work out how to break it down into flat sections. So you can lay it on wood for me to cut out. Test cuts, everything like that later. I'll find that it doesn't go together easy or it's really complicated to put together. So I then go back to my designs, try and simplify it to make it easy so everybody can put it together without too much, modelling knowledge. There's a lot of things you have to sort of make sure is in most designs. For example, the doors, the shape of the doors and everything, so everything fits together with a hole in for the magnets to go, everything like that. So you've got to ensure everything works together and will clip together, which you can do. You can bring models you've already made into your computer, make sure it all fits. And then once I'm happy that it's designed, it works together with the other models we've made, it's going to enhance the range still. It's not just going to be, well, I could have actually done that with these two parts before. So it's a completely new design. And it fits together, like I say, quite easily. We then literally go into laying it down onto flat either 2mm or 3mm pieces of wood. You can then take your 3D design you've got. I'll go into another program and I can then design the assembly instructions to show how to put it together by hiding certain parts and then just showing each piece together as it clips so people can make them quite easily. So
it's one piece of software that you use to both design and create the instructions. So there's not that overhead. You can use the components from one design to create your instructions.
And the beauty is if we've done everything and then I then realise there's a problem that this bit doesn't move round when you put it on a certain piece of terrain, you can then go back into the original, change it, and everything throughout the process you've done already will also change.
So I imagine with the design process, there's a lot of cutting and building.
Yes. The amount of prototypes each piece has when I'm making it is a lot. So I'm one of those, I will not put anything out there myself that I would not be happy with. And I'm a very picky person. So it's got to be right for me. And I want to be able to, before I actually put it out to the public, I want to be 100% happy that everything works, it is adaptive, and there's no part you can put it on a certain kit and it won't work on there.
So you've been doing LCA for quite a while now, and how was it you got into doing the design, the LCA side of things, and doing the terrain?
Basically, I mean, I've always, ever since I was little and I started 40k, when that was my introduction into the wargaming industry. Playing 40k, I always made foam core and foam cards, everything like that, shampoo bottles, everything, made my own terrain. Then I saw somebody had made some terrain using a laser cut, and I thought, I can do that. I can make terrain, cut it out, and I was that confident in my terrain that I did, people would like it. So bought a laser, started designing it, cut it out, started selling it. Then a friend of mine had some old Necromunda bulkheads. Gareth, bless him. It's his fault this has come about. And he wanted, you lose all the card sections and all you've got was the plastic. So he wanted something that you could plug in to the cards. So that's how I started designing these. It started off as walkways. Started making the walkways that you could use, and you could start using it for the old Necromunda game. And then I started on to buildings, and it got to a point where all my other designs that I'd done up to then were just individual pieces. Now I'm like, well, why can't I make a system that works together, and you can buy different kits and your terrain will grow like your army, rather than just you make a house, then you put it in, then you take it out, it's a house, then you put it away. And so everything can be adapted to what you want on the battlefield. Yeah. And what I'd love in the future will be people will spend as much time between battles designing their battlefield as they do designing their army. Yeah. So it's
because
that's the aim.
The game is the games that we play, 40k, Star Wars Legion, things like that. We immerse ourselves in these universes to try and
tell a story.
Yeah, to tell a story, to get something from it. And as you know, and as I know, I love the whole narrative side of wargaming.
Yes.
So for me, and I do have some of this terrain myself from getting through painting it, that I know that you can go from one of these buildings that can be a hab block that one day to being something completely the next. And anyone that our followers will see that's looked at our Facebook channel will see what we've been able to do previously with your terrain.
I mean, a nice one is something like this bunker. When you put it on with the isolated outpost, it should be a hexagon, but you can actually spread it out and make it into like a landing pad. Yeah. So you can make like a command bunker at the front with a landing pad behind. And if you go onto my Facebook channel, Lasercut Architect, you'll see the photos on there of that design. So yeah, everything is completely different and can adapt, hence the name. Yeah. So
you touched on earlier that you got into 40k as a youngster. What was it specifically that got you into 40k and wargaming?
Well, I had it since the first one, the Rogue Trader, and it was literally to tell a story. Films. Big Star Wars fan, stuff like that, and I would have loved to have ended up working on, say, with George Lucas, making film sets. So it was to tell a story on the battlefield where you can just roll dice, meet mates, have a laugh, and share the love of the hobby with other people. Yeah. So it was the love of the making the terrain rather than the armies that got me into this. And I think terrain will tell a story better than just your two armies facing off against each other, who the two armies are. It's your terrain that will make the story, the reason for the battle, what you're actually fighting over. And it will then give your two armies, the word I'm looking for here, it gives it purpose for fighting, basically. So
you touched on there that you made friends while playing. In terms of wargaming, what do you believe the benefits are of it for social interactions? And obviously, we met through wargaming. Yeah. And I've made good friends through it. So do you think that the wargaming community is beneficial for creating those social interactions?
Oh, definitely. You literally people group with like-minded people. So whatever it is you do, whether it's knitting, crochet, whether it's wargaming, whether it's playing pool or snooker, if you're in a group of people like-minded people, you've automatically got that starting point to talk and have a laugh, and you'll find once you start talking to people, they're not much different to you. Nope. They're liking exactly the same. And like I say, I've made some very good friends through this industry. Yeah. Especially now I've started this as well. So it's been well received. So everyone that seems to see it loves it. And we've ended up making friends that I keep in touch with outside of the wargaming now, as well as inside. So yeah, like I say, it's just like-minded people coming together, feeling relaxed. Yes, I'm a 50-year-old bloke that plays with toy soldiers, but you're age bloke who also likes to play with toy soldiers.
Absolutely. And there is an age-old saying that men don't grow up, we just get older, and as toys get more expensive.
Correct.
In terms of expense, now your terrain isn't as expensive as some of the others out there on the market, and it certainly has the details of it. How do you manage to keep your prices down, whereas others are quite high? Obviously, the Games Workshop terrain is quite expensive.
A lot is once you designed it, and like I've said, try and make it as simple as possible, which less parts, but while keeping the detail, so it's not on as many sprues. So that keeps the cost down. I don't produce, I just design now.
Right.
Company, you've probably heard of them, Sarissa.
Yep.
Precision. They actually manufacture it and ship it to everybody for me. So that side of it is more through them than me anyway. So it keeps my costs down. And like I say, because they've got the more machines than say I've just got the one at my place, they can cut a lot more in bulk and ship it out for a better price.
So you've got your designs, you've got the designs supported by a leader in the industry in Sarissa. Now, I believe they sell this through their Dark Ops channel.
Yes, they do. Yes,
but the users, the watchers out there, can get it by going to www.lasercutarchitect.co.uk. That
will take you straight to my site on the Dark Ops.
Yep. So we'll drop that down in the link below so people can get straight there. But it sounds like you've got a good plan in your head of what you want to do at the minute. What's the future for LCA?
More terrain. Literally. Obviously, the more terrain people will have to choose from, then the more advanced structures, buildings they can make on the tabletop. I've got ideas for large raised floor sections.
Right.
So you can start fighting on different levels. The next thing we are going for design-wise will be walkways and gantries. You can have gantries inside your buildings if you want, or walkways from the outside, connecting buildings. Then you are not just fighting on a flat battlefield. You're suddenly fighting from this level, shooting down onto that level or up to that level. You've got different levels to fight over as well. And as soon as we get that out there and it starts connecting all the different collections together, you will find your battlefields will not be 2D anymore.
Yeah.
You know, you've suddenly got a 3D battlefield that will look like a factory, or it'll look like a spaceport, or it'll look like a command bunker.
So you can go from playing, we've had this conversation before, you can go from playing on, around, to above your battlefield. So you've got that multi-level of gaming.
Yes. Correct.
And I suppose that is part of what makes your terrain adaptive, in that you're not just playing in one scene.
Two words I like to use a lot, and if anyone's actually sat with me and I've been showing them, you get fed up of hearing it. It's adaptive, but it's immersive.
Yeah.
This is not just a line, a line of sight blocker.
No.
Your troops can move through it. You can move over it. You can move around, as well as around it. So you've got objectives like these, that it's not just a circle that you're fighting over now. You are fighting over the radar dish.
Yeah, so your objective marker that you'd have in your game of 40k becomes a satellite dish or a transmitter tower.
Yeah.
Or even a control room within the building itself.
Yes. Sooner or later, we will have computers, like say power generators, power units, stuff like that you could put inside your buildings. You'll have large expansed terrain where you've got massive floors that you can fight inside as well. So you've got a large spaceship hangar that you can also fight inside. We do crates and everything as well. So you're fighting over crates, computers, even cryogenic tanks, anything like that. So I like, sooner or later, when you're designing your battlefield, whatever you think of, we will have something you can use to portray that for you.
So the extra scatter terrain is in the future plans. Obviously, we know you do the crates.
We've started, like I say, the crates are already out there. This is going to be out very, very soon.
Yeah.
It's ready to go into production. So it's and it gives your terrain purpose, basically.
So it's that next level rather than fighting over And I know people love the tournament scene in 40k, but you've not just got your L-shaped ruins,
correct.
you've got something else.
I'm going to really upset people now. The one thing I hate when I look at a game of 40k, especially, because that's where it's mainly used, you've got 6 L-shaped ruins that look like 2 bits of wood like that, L-shaped, and all over the place. And it's like, it's all about just moving your men about and trying to kill each other. There's no story. It doesn't look like you're fighting over a spaceport or a manufactorium or a factory or anything. So,
no, as we all know from all the vast sci-fi movies we've all seen, and we all admit it, guys, you all have watched thousands of sci-fi films. Not every battlefield is a ruin.
Correct. There's a lot of battlefields that you fight over. I mean, when you're fighting inside a spaceship, that cannot be a ruin, otherwise you're going to have no air. It's got to be self-contained. So, yes, a lot of my stuff do come fully made up, but like I've said, you can turn them. Most of the collections will have a ruined sections that you add.
Yeah.
So you can turn it into a ruin as the battle progresses. So you don't actually have to set it up straight away.
No, so you can go from having a fully intact building, you can create a narrative campaign where you've started with a fully intact building and it's gradually got destroyed over time.
Correct. So so doesn't just adapt from battle to battle. It will literally adapt through your battle.
Yeah, through the game to the next game to the campaign missions.
Correct. So,
yes. So, what's your favourite piece that you've designed to date?
I'll tell this to everybody, and if I do an interview in a year's time, it will be exactly the same. My favourite piece is always the one I've literally just designed.
Right.
Or the next one that's in my head. I always feel like, I'm not going to top this. Then I'll design something else. And it's like, oh wow, that's really going to work. That's going to join that and that together, or that's going to add so much flavour to this collection that it's always the next one that's in my head is my favourite design. So I am really happy with the Defence Lines collection because at this moment in time, it is the most adaptive.
Yeah.
With these new bunkers that have just come out. So they really work together, and you can literally go from having a defence line to having a reinforced wall to having a large gatehouse with towers, weapons, large wall around it, buildings coming off the back. So yeah, that is the most adaptive out of all the collections at this moment in time. But
so you mentioned with your design process a minute ago that you look at what might bring pieces together. Do you keep that in mind when you're designing the next piece, how it can bring the ranges together, or do you try and keep this ranges separate?
No, I don't. The whole point of adaptive terrain is that no, they are not separate.
Yeah,
they should all be able to work together, but it's sometimes I can look at something and design it and think that will really enhance this collection.
Yeah.
But it's no matter what I design, if I'm designing, like say, any weapons or anything like that, they've got to work with what is already designed. So everything will work together no matter what. And I have to bear that in mind when I'm designing stuff. But I can design stuff literally just to enhance a collection rather than, I've only designed this. I mean, I do design stuff that will connect Defence Lines with the Wastelands collection. But then I will design stuff that will only really look good with the Defence Lines. So, yeah.
So you mentioned the new bunker set that you've just done. And that's the Kickstarter that's just about
It is ongoing. It finishes on Tuesday, 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
This coming Tuesday.
So now I've seen this and I'll put a photo up there for you guys rather than having Darrell build it all at the minute. What was you thinking behind this, behind the tower itself?
I was in a Discord. A good friend of mine, Liam Dempsey, on his channel. He always shows a lot of my stuff off. He loves it. And somebody actually on their chat suggested a Fortress Redemption that Games Workshop used. Could you do that? So I'm like, no, because I don't think Games Workshop would be too happy. But then I thought, but the defense lines that I've got already should be able to make something similar.
Yep.
And let's see how adaptive this is then.
Absolutely.
So I tried, and to be fair, I literally had to design 2 new bunkers. That was it, for it to work. So by using these bunkers now, you can make something that looks very similar.
Yeah.
But then take it apart, and instead of having one massive fortress that's in the middle of your battlefield, you can suddenly make it into 3 separate bunker sections all together with comms towers, radar dishes, weapons mounts, and you've suddenly got a frontline command center. So it works really well by showing how the adaptive terrain is supposed to work.
Yeah, the fact that it can be adaptive, but it can also be standalone. It can be one big piece or multiple small pieces.
Correct.
Yeah, and we did have a conversation previously, because I have 3 of these kits. How adaptive the kits are within themselves.
Yes,
because I built one as it should be built, and then I've taken 2 others and built them to be different parts. And there is a video for that coming up in a couple of weeks, hopefully, once I've got everything finished. But that just shows that even though you're not planning it, that adaptive and that adaptability fits within the kits themselves and not just within. A
good way is, if I show you, let's take these as, you get all these buildings, they're all the same, but just by connecting the different walls together onto the floors, you've got, by using the same parts, you've got two separate ruins, or you can even turn it into that's just literally. So by using the same parts, you can make different looking kits from each other. It's literally just putting this wall in the place of this wall, so it'll move when you make kits up. So each kit, just by buying this kit, you can make 4 separate hab blocks. Where, because even inside,
because we've got the removable floor in
removable floor or the solid floor. But if you swap the floors over, you can have a solid floor on the bottom and your removable hatch on top as well. So
we're coming just to the end of our time, but just one last thing before we do. What's your most memorable game experience from playing 40k, Legion, or any of the other games that you play? The thing that stands out the most. I'm sure we've all got a guardsman destroying a knight with a last gun memory.
That's a good question. I literally just like it when, 40k, I'm a Necron player for my sins, and I literally just love it when you walk up to a building with an objective inside it, you lift it off, you can open your door and you move your men in, and then you suddenly hold that objective inside, and it's that storytelling, the narrative, that I suppose is the most happy. Obviously, when I destroyed your dawn in one turn, and I still go on about it, helped. Was memorable. But no, it is when you're fighting through the terrain, and it's the look on people's faces when they're playing with it and around it.
So it's not necessarily an experience of you in a game, it's the experience of people on your terrain that stands out for you more than something else.
I love it when people get as much excitement, as much fun out of using the terrain as what I do.
Yeah. Right, so we'll wrap that up, and hopefully we'll get this out to you as soon as possible, and see you shortly for my game against Chris, who is testing his AdMech list out tonight with a little bit of help from Darrell.
Yes.
So Darrell, thank you for coming.
No, thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to a KFC later.
Right, thank you very much, guys, and don't forget, give us a like and subscribe. It's what keeps us on the air. Cheers.